Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Monday, July 28th, 2025. And not a lot happened in this day back in world history. I'll get to that in a sec, but there's also a big announcement today. If you're an Australian boxing fan, with Nikita Tszyu, Michael Zerafa, Brock Jarvis, I'll get to that in a second as well. A couple other things that's happening around the globe. All right, on this day, firstly, 2001, Roy Jones Jr. Defended the WBC, WBA and IBF light heavyweight titles against Julio Cesar Gonzalez. Doesn't actually say where it was, but that did happen back 2001. And in 1952, the great Rocky Marciano knocked out Harry Kid Matthews in round 2 of 10. Okay, that was a heavyweight eliminator. Okay, it wasn't a defense of his title. So it was a heavyweight eliminator, Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. I would love to go out there. Just too many things to do when I was there last week or the week before, whatever it was. But yeah, that would be awesome to go see Yankee Stadium. I've seen someone in Boston, Fenway Park. Unbelievable to go to a baseball stadium, and they would be awesome for boxing. I don't know why they don't go back there now. Probably because I suppose they play about 180 games or something there per year in the baseball. But wouldn't it be great to get the old fights back there? Where are we? So it's earned him a shot with Jersey Joe Walcott, and he was also named the 1952 Fighter of the Year, and knocked out, of course, Walcott to win the title. Defended it 6 times and then retired with a 49-0 record with 43 knockouts. All right, so as I said this morning or today, I think it's about lunchtime actually, there will be a press conference for a couple of things. I think what they're actually going to do is announce the Nikita Tszyu card. It's in Sydney. And I think they're also going to do the press conference also for Wednesday night's fights. Now, I didn't really know much about this. Floyd Masson is back. I didn't realise it was a co-promotion with No Limit. So that will be on Wednesday night on Fox Sports. So that's great. I'll go through the card in a second. But Nikita Tszyu, yes, he is back after, was it been nearly a year out? Well, probably will be a year out by the time he gets in the ring. It's going to be August 20th. Since he fought Colin Mazzutia, and there were actually some doubts that he might struggle to get back. That hand issue had been really causing some problems. I think he'd been scheduled to come back twice, I think, and hadn't quite made it. They had some complications, and but all looks like it's going to be good now. So, look, on paper, it looks like it's going to be a good card. Nikita Tszyu headlining, Michael Zerafa as the co-main, of course. The aim is to have them both have impressive wins and then fight at the end of the year. Then on the undercard also is Brock Jarvis, and I think there's Brandon Grutch and Jazzy Parr. Oh, and also, which I think is probably the fight to probably look forward to the most on the card, is Billy Polkinghorne and Ahmed Reda. Should be a really good fight. I'm surprised that No Limit are getting these guys in together now. I'm not quite sure what the benefit is. I know there's Australian title eliminators and all that, but when's that matter with an Australian title that you got to go through an eliminator? And not that many Australian titles get sort of fought for these days in comparison to yesteryear, but I'm not sure why they would want to match 2 really hot young stars. Well, I mean, Billy Polkinghorne's not young, of course. He's had an extensive amateur career. But Ahmed Reda coming up, I'm not sure why they would risk Ahmed Reda fighting Billy Polkinghorne when they've been sort of already active trying to pump up the fight with Harry Garside at some stage. And likewise with Billy Polkinghorne, does he need the fight with Reda to pump his fight up with Garside as well? Look, I'm not going to tear it down because obviously it's great for Australian boxing. We want to see these fights, but from the normal promotional textbook, I suppose you would say, not quite sure it makes sense to have both those guys fight each other now and set one of them back when No Limit are going to be looking for those stars to fill their cards going forward. But yeah, I mean, they've got their own reasons for it. But yeah, as I said, it surprises me. Now, the card itself, I suppose we're looking at the two main fights on it. Now, first of all, before I get into the fights, let me just say I have no issues with the opponents as far as building the narrative to what will be Nikita and Michael Zerafa. Don't even get in your head that it's going to be Tim Tszyu against Zerafa. There was talk that, potentially it'd be, well, now that Tim's in the situation he's in, let's don't worry about the Nikita fight. Let's go straight to Michael Zerafa and Tim Tszyu. It's not happening, guys. Tim Tszyu will not fight for the rest of the year. I'd be staggered if he fought before the end of the year. And I would think they're not interested in Michael Zerafa. They've got a lot bigger things on their plate than Michael Zerafa, I can tell you. Now, all the Aussie boxing fans that want to see the fight, I can understand it. But they're not looking at that at the moment. They're looking at what's best for Tim. So get that out of your mind. That ain't happening. But it looks like it will be Nikita and Michael. So as I said, let me just say I've got no issues with, well, in some ways I've got no issues with the opponents because I see it through the promoter's eyes that obviously they want to get Michael and Nikita good wins, especially Nikita because he's just coming back. But if you're all I'll say is if you're one of the people or the fans out there that believe what you read on Facebook or the websites or on Instagram or the press conferences you watch George Rose in, and you believe all that, you're about to be hoodwinked in the worst possible way, let's just say. But again, as I said, I've got no dramas, but with the meaning of the fights. Now, I'll go through the fights first, but Nikita Tszyu coming off a 12-month layoff, I totally get where they're at with him. He's going to fight, I think he's a Macedonian living in Germany. His name's Luzim Ismaili. He's 27 years old. Now, his record, I did have it up there, is 12-0 with 7 knockouts. Now, they're going to obviously say to you, or Big George is going to get up there and say, this guy is a killer. He's 12-0, he's 7 knockouts. He's got this record and that record and done this and done that. He's going to try and pump it up to the point where you're going to be like, wow, okay, geez, Nikita, this is a risky fight. Let me just tell you, it's not a risky fight. And again, I've got no issues with it. Please, don't think that I'm rubbishing the choice. Well, I'm probably rubbishing the opponent, but I'm rubbishing what they're going to say about the opponent, not the opponent itself. Because at the end of the day, Nikita Tszyu, perfect fight from the comeback. A little bit like Joey Spencer was to Tim Tszyu. He just needs to win. He needs to get back in there, and this guy's a perfect opponent. Can't punch for shit. I know he's got 7 knockouts, but he's more of a mover and a boxer. Sort of flicks out a bit of a lazy jab, chin in the air. Doesn't punch really hard at all. Okay movement on his feet, I suppose. But the perfect opponent for Nikita Tszyu to just do his thing, and that's great. And that's probably what it's all about. So again, I've got no dramas with it. He's there for Nikita, just to do his thing without a lot of danger in return. I mean, Nikita's been in a lot of wars in these last few fights, well, mostly throughout his career. So I've got no issues with him picking an opponent that he can do what he wants. He'll be able to fight when he wants to fight, rest when he wants to rest. He'll probably be able to get Ismaili out of there probably whenever he wants. Well, actually, maybe he won't. He looks sort of semi-cagey. He's got good movement, or okay movement, but yeah, let's just say he has got absolutely nothing to worry Nikita Tszyu. And again, no dramas with it at all. They just need him to get a win. For Michael Zerafa, now he's coming up a guy by the name of Mikey, what was his name? Mikey Dahlman. Now, this is the one. Now, he's 18-1 with 16 knockouts. Now, I'm sure your first thoughts are going to be, holy shit, geez, that's a tough fight for Michael. They're putting him in with a risky fight before Nikita. No, he's not. Now, what they're going to feed you with this is, but Big George is going to get up there and he's going to tell you all about his highlight reel knockout 8 years ago, by the way, that made it onto TMZ on the website. He's going to tell you that it was a spectacular knockout of the year and all this sort of stuff. Then he's going to tell you about his prison past, how he's been in jail, how his trainer wanted him to take rat poison to help shed weight in his weight cut. He's going to feed you all that and tell you what a killer this guy is with 18-1 with 16 knockouts. That's what he's going to feed you. But do your own research. Jump on YouTube and have a look and you'll see what I'm talking about. Again, I haven't really got a drama with it. I really haven't. I know I probably sound like I'm laying the boots in. I am laying the boots into such as if you're one of the ones that are going to fork over $70 in good faith and expects this to be a good fight, I just feel for you, that's all. Now I'm going to pay it. I will pay because I've got to put it on at the pub and it's my job to sort of, well, it's not my job, but it's my thing to review it for you guys. So no drama, I'll pay it, but I'm just saying, if you're expecting world level credentials for this guy, just don't. Look, he's purely been built or bought in, and you can see it. And again, it's promoting 101. A guy with a really good record who looks the part. You know, he's got the beard, he's got the bald head, has got that highlight reel knockout they're going to replay over and over and over. Mind you, that was in his first fight 8 years ago, I think it was. When did he turn pro? 2017. Rick Ogden. Mind you, the guy was 0-7. The guy fought. But anyway, I'm just putting it out there. Having said that, they're gonna show that highlight reel knockout ad nauseum. They're going to talk about his prison past, the rat poison, all this sort of stuff, and his imposing record. As I said, just get on YouTube and have a look for yourself. This guy could last 2 rounds, really, if Michael wanted to get him out of there. Again, it's just purely to build up the intrigue for Nikita's fight. So again, I get it. The undercard, I think, who was it? And I think, where is it? The rest of the card. So as I said, Brendan Grush and Josie Parr will be on the undercard. Brock Jarvis, now he's fighting Sam Beck. Now he's from the Gold Coast. He's 7-0. I don't know much about him, but you know, it's good just to have him on the card, I suppose. Still entertaining, is Brock. So look, on paper, it looks like it's going to be good to have Nikita, Michael, Brock, the Billy Pokinghorn and Ahmed Reda fight, and then Brendan Grush and Josie Parr as well. On paper, it looks like a good card, but just be careful with your expectations. That's all I'm going to say, and especially like, look, I won't go back over the records, but again, look for yourself. Now, I'm just looking at where it is. It's in Sydney, and I think it's at the. I've been there before when Tim fought. Who did he fight? There might have been, I think it was the late Darcy Ritchie. It's in Sydney anyway. Is it the ISS or something, C or Arena or something? But anyway, so that's what's happening. So that will be announced today. I'm actually looking forward to Big George, the way he's going to spin this fight. I'll be talking about it tomorrow, of course, but I think you're with me. You know the way it's going to go. This killer from America with a highlight reel knockout, 18-1, 16 knockouts against Michael Zarapa, the grudge fight with Nikita, coming up against undefeated 12-0, 7 knockouts. I can just see it now. Anyway, again, look, it makes sense in some ways, but if you're expecting fireworks for your $70, just maybe think again. That's all I'm going to say. All right, yesterday, Xander Zayas with the win over Jorge Garcia. Looked okay. I must admit though, having watched the fight back, it wasn't on live here, I watched it on YouTube later. You just have to wonder with the sliding doors moments again with Tim, if he hadn't have, look, we've probably gone over this 100 times, so I'm not going to go over it again. Where are you going, buddy? Come this way. With what might have happened if Tim might have been matched against someone like a Zayas instead of a Murtazaliev and obviously Fundora. Because what I saw yesterday, I've been really impressed with Zayas. And I think if you watched yesterday, I think I had him at 5 or 6 on my list of 154 pounders, junior middleweights. What I saw yesterday though, if I'm being honest, I couldn't help but think of Tim in there fighting Zayas, and tell you what, I think Zayas' style would have been a lot better suited to him than both Murtazaliev and Fundora. Now, I understand it's too late now. It's in the past. And things happen. We're talking about sliding door moments. But I tell you what, I reckon if it all had gone down in certain other ways, that Tim versus Zeos would have been a really good fight and a really well-matched, even fight. And I think it's a fight that Tim could have won before all this carnage happened with his career. Now, I think we can all sort of agree, and again, we've spoken about it 100 times in the last week, so I won't keep going over it, but the way sort of Tim fought against Fundora was not the same. Tim, I watched a couple of it, well, not all his fights, but some highlights of some of his previous fights. I know the level of competition went up a lot, but I just think after that Murtazalia fight, even though he beat Spencer, his whole, just the way he fought was different. His whole, even the expression on his face was different. And I suppose we can talk about PTSD, whatever it might be, but he just looked like a different fighter, confidence-wise, in his last couple of fights. But anyway, but yeah, I couldn't help watching the fight yesterday, just thinking that Zeos would have been, let's just say, a lot better proposition than Murtazalia and Fundora. But they say, look, everything happens for a reason. I'm blaming Keith Thurman for this, by the way. I'm blaming Keith. If he hadn't have pulled out last year at the start of 2024, we might not be here having these discussions about what next for Tim and everything else, because it just changed the whole complexion, didn't it? Because if he had fought Thurman, well, and beat Thurman, well, who knows what could have happened. And I know it's easy now to say, well, he wouldn't have beat Thurman, but we didn't know that back then. But again, yeah, Sanders, not a bad fight. I don't know about the hairdo, though. He's grown his hair out a bit, mate. You got look like a fighter. Yeah, let's just maybe chop it off like he used to. But anyway, but no, he looked okay. Just for me, I just think, I don't know, he just looks slow to me. He's got a good kit of punches, good technique, a good all-round fighter. But to me, just, I don't know, it might have just been an illusion or something, but he looks slow. And Garcia was tough, but not really, I don't think, should have been fighting for a world title. But it was tough, he had to go. But yeah, I'm not, from what I saw yesterday, not convinced about Xander Zeos. Now, I'm sure he'll get better. He's 22 years of age. But yeah, it wasn't overly impressive. He got the job done. He got the win, and that's all he had to do. But yeah, it wasn't as convincing as I hoped he would be, Xander Zeos. But he's got the belt. He's going to be a very, very popular man, and people are going to want to have a crack at him, and he'll get some good paydays. Actually, on the undercard too, Emiliano Vargas was on there. Now, I've seen this kid live a couple of times sparring. He sparred Jorge Linares when I was over in Las Vegas about 3 years ago. He only just turned pro then. This kid's a good fighter. The whole family is really, Vargas's. They all can fight, but he looks good. He looks good, Emiliano Vargas. I know he didn't really have much to beat yesterday. It was the first round knockout. And I'm looking forward to him stepping him up. He's only a young kid. I think he's only, is he 20, 21 or something like that? He's not very old. So I know they're going to sort of guide him along. I'm pretty sure he might be 13-0 now. He's had 6 or 7 straight knockouts. So I would think they would start to sort of step him up a little bit more now. But I don't mind the looking. There's actually, I think speaking of him, Bob Arum was asked the other day, because again, they're looking at the other video I did the other day about potential movies. Well, I did mention Oscar De La Hoya, and there you go. There is a movie looking to be made about Oscar. And he was asked who could play Oscar, and he actually said that Emiliano Vargas would be good, because they probably want a boxer to turn into an actor, not the other way around. And Bob Arum said that Emiliano Vargas could be a good bet to play Oscar De La Hoya, which would be ironic considering the rivalry that Emiliano's father, Fernando, had with Oscar over the years. So just a little bit of byplay there. But speaking of Bob Arum and Zeos and everything else and Top Rank, yesterday was the final fight card that they will have with ESPN, and it actually marked 80 years of TV boxing in America that is now over. So the first time in 80 years. So going back to the 40s is when, now I don't know how that would happen, by the way, this is just what I've read, but considering that TV wasn't really, was it around back then? I can't remember. But anyway, they're talking about, this is the first time ever, let's just say, that boxing has not been on mainstream TV, free-to-air TV in any capacity. Over the years, I've had HBO and Showtime. I remember back in the 80s and even the 90s watching boxing, CBS, NBC, ABC over there, they all had boxing on. And I used to love it when I was living in Canada as an exchange student. On a Saturday afternoon sometimes, or a Saturday evening, they would have live boxing free to air on just those mainstream TV channels. So like having it channel 7, 9 or 10 here, they would have them on over there. Then of course it's gone to cable and pay-per-view and all this sort of stuff, and now streaming services, and you got to wonder where boxing's at now. Some will argue obviously that it's actually in a stronger place because now streaming services aren't, well, they're sort of custom made for boxing and combat sports, whereas the mainstream channels were probably a little bit maybe dictatorial, is that the word? Dictatorial? A little bit controlling, I suppose is the word, with the boxing promoters, and a little bit restrictive. I mean, they pump a lot of money into other sports, probably sports that are bringing a lot more money than boxing. But they'd had enough, and this is it. Now, Bob Arum says that they will stream on probably 2 or 3 different platforms and don't limit himself to one. You'd think DAZN would be in the mix or Netflix would be there for Top Rank. But it's just, isn't it just amazing how with evolution and everything else and progress that boxing, after all the years of being on mainstream TV, is now longer gone. Now, we've gone through it years ago here in Australia. I mean, when's the last time you saw a fight card on 7, 9 or 10? I think you'd have to go back 15 years or something. I think Channel 10 had it on the secondary channels. And this is the interesting thing. I would have thought in this day and age, with the mainstream channels having multiple channels now on the secondary, third channels, fourth channels, even some of them, that they would find a place for boxing. As I said, I know Channel 10 tried it. I know 7 had it with 7 Plus. 9 had it as well, I think, didn't they? I think they might have tried it as well, and it just hasn't happened. Now, my opinion of it all would be probably a little bit like with what's happened with giving No Limit the keys to boxing in Australia on Fox and Main Event. They've just said this is just way too hard. With the mainstream channels here, and I know for a fact a lot of promoters were just pocketing the money they were getting and not putting it into the fights and just delivering shit fights. And the networks are like, well, why are we putting this shit on? Why are we paying you money to put this on? Other networks wouldn't pay the promoters at all, and the promoters were getting stuck with these massive production costs and everything else, so they simply couldn't afford to put them on. I'm not sure what it's like in America, but you remember back in the day, I know we're going back a long way, I remember when Lester and Jeff Fennick, when that were around, Barry Michael, the Melbourne guys were always on Channel 7, and Jeff Fennick, Jeff Harding were always on Channel 9. And to think that that went by the wayside many, many years ago. Actually, I'm just trying to think of the last time I saw it on actual free-to-air, probably a long time, probably 30, 35 years probably. And then in America now, it's finally hit its last chord, and it's all over there now. As I said, they did say 80 years, but it doesn't really make sense, does it? Because TV wasn't around then. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, long story short, the end of the story is that boxing free-to-air TV is now gone. As I said, I'm not that stressed about it. Of course, I don't live in America, which is good, but I think it's just a case of just times have changed. The network has changed. Well, the whole sport, the whole broadcasting thing has changed, and it'll probably change again in another probably 30, 40 years. I'm sure we're talking about something else that they've brought out. I mean, who would have thought, 30 years ago we'd be talking about streaming services and no TV, boxing or some sports for that matter, we'd all be streaming it. Who would have thought that? But so again, in another 30 years, we're probably talking about something else that's come up that we never would have thought of. But anyway, I just thought it was a point to bring up that the curtains have finally come to a close on mainstream boxing in the US. But anyway, having said that, guys, give me your thoughts on the Jarvis, it's not Jarvis, Nikita, Zerafa and Jarvis card. After you see the press conference today, do a little bit of research and we'll have a chat about it tomorrow. But until then, guys, have a great Monday and we'll catch you then.